In this video, we will have a look on different primitives in Blender, and especially on mesh primitives. So we will discover these different objects. So to add an object here, we will use the shortcut Shift A, like add, or we will use the add menu here, okay? And you can see that you have a lot of different kind of objects that you can add in Blender. The first that we will use and the main that we will use for modeling is mesh, okay? So mesh, you can see that you have a few different objects that are available in Blender. They are called primitives, and it means that you start a modeling project with that. For example, if you model maybe a mug or something like that, you will start by a cylinder, okay? If you model a balloon or something like that, you will start with a sphere, okay? And maybe with a cube, you will make some furniture or things like that. So it will depend on the project you will start for, okay? First of all, let's add a plane, the first one in the list. So here we have the plane, and you can see that when you add an object, you have a little menu that appears here. And inside this menu, you will find different options that are related to the object you just add. Be careful, because when you make another operation, like for example, if I make G to move this object, you can see that the related menu here is from the last operation. So this menu will disappear after. So it's a kind of destructive operation that when you choose an option here, okay? So you can choose here the size by default with here. You can generate UVs or not. We will talk about UVs later, how to manipulate object into a 2D view, but we will talk about it later. And here we have the possibility to align it with the view, so it will be aligned with the view that you have in 3D, or with the 3D cursor, or with the world here. And then after, you have the localization here, the location, and the rotation here that you can change as well, but you can do it after this. So it's only object location and rotation that you can change yourself after. So this is the first object. It's just a surface here, nothing fancy, just something to start for. And with G and X, you can see that I can move my object into the X-axis, and we will talk about this operation later. And so I will introduce you all the meshes like that, okay? And let's go with the next one, is the cube. The cube, as you can see here, you have the size here, so 2 meters by default. You can see that everything is in meter in Blender. We will talk about this later as well. And here we have the same kind of options here. Okay, so another one, GX, we move it there. And now we have something with a little more options. So we have the circle. So the circle, you can make a surface with it by going there and fill here the circle with n-gon. So n-gon is only one face, okay? And you can see in wireframe it doesn't change anything, but if you choose here triangle, you can see that it will make triangle from the number of vertices that you have here. So by default it's 32. It's good to choose an even number with this, because we will always want to model with quads. It means faces that have 4 vertices, and with this it's always good to have an even number here, except specific case. So here we have the number. So if I put 8, I will have an octagon here. If I increase the radius, you can see the result here, okay? And more you add, more you will have something with a perfect circle, okay? By default, 32 is good. I like to use 24 and 16 as well, but we will see that during the modeling sessions. So here is the circle, another object that we will use often. Then we have the UV sphere. So UV sphere will add an option. We have the segment numbers here. Okay, you can see the number like that. And you have the ring as well. Okay, so can be very useful as well, the sphere, to create this kind of object with sphere forms. And we have another sphere, is the icosphere. So the icosphere, it's only triangles with subdivisions. You can see that if you increase subdivision, you will have more and more triangles with more perfect shape like that, okay? But with more vertices. To be sure the number, to see the number of vertices that you have in a scene, I like to here enable with the right click here. You can use scene statistics here. You can use scene duration. You can use scene system memory and video memory as well. Like this, maybe the duration will remove it like this. It's not really, it doesn't take a lot of space here. So you can see that you have a few informations that will help you during modeling. Like for example, you have the number of vertices in your scene, the number of faces, of triangles, the number of objects. I have one object selected on 5 objects that are in the scene, and the number of memory usage and the number of video memory usage here. Okay, so we can keep that, and it's always good to have. So now I can move to my next object. The next object is a cylinder here. Okay, so it's the same option with this as the circle, for example, but you will have a radius and a depth. Okay, that you can play with. You can fill with nothing or with triangle or with hang-on. By default, it's hang-on on this object. Okay, so again, another object that is very useful. Okay, the next one here, we have the cone. So the cone is the same, almost the same as the cylinder, but you have 2 radius. You have the radius of the basis and the radius on top here. Okay, so it can be good, for example, to make a lamp shape or something like that. And yeah, or maybe if you have a pipe that's going like that and that is big, and suddenly it goes and it decreases, something like that, you can play with these options as well. Okay, and then you will have the torus. So the torus here, it's really like a donut shape, and you can increase the major segment here, so the number of vertices in that direction, and the number of rings, okay, like this. So you can increase that as well, and you can play with the major, minor here dimension mode. So here you have the dimension here, the major radius, so something like that. Okay, and you have the minor radius here. You see that when I make another action, I cannot come back to these options. So that's why you have to be careful when you add an object. You have to take care of this option before moving or making something else. Okay, so yeah, I come back to these options. You can see that I can increase that or increase that. Okay, you have the major, minor here, or you have the possibility to use exterior and interior radius. So it's the same kind of options, but gives you this kind of behavior like that. Okay, so here you have the generate UVs as well with all objects that you can have, that you can add. Here you have the world, same thing for all these objects. And now we can move on to the next one. The next one is the grid. So by default, it really looks like here the planes, but it's not really a plane. It's a plane that is subdivided. So when you go here into wireframe mode, maybe, okay, you can see the subdivision here, or maybe you can just add the wireframe on top of the solid view here, and you will have the number of subdivisions. So we can add maybe 20 or something like that. So it's very good to use a grid, maybe to start to model a landscape or something like that, and after you will maybe move the vertices up and down to create a kind of landscape shape. Okay, so sometimes you add a lot, like 250 or something like that. Be careful, because it increases the number of vertices a lot, and we always try to keep the number of vertices on our scene as low as possible to be sure to not have too much, and to have good performance on your scene, especially with animation. So here we have the grid. Okay, you can move on to the next object. I really recommend you to make the same as me, to start to model, to move a little the objects, and to use the add menu and everything like that. So yeah, it's very important, yeah, to know a little your gear. So here is Suzanne. Suzanne, I showed you already. So it's a kind of mascot, and we can experiment with this object. So yeah, all Blender users, they know Suzanne because they experiment with it. You can play with shaders, or you can play with everything that you want to experiment. It's kind of interesting shape that shows you the geometry. Like for example, if we go with this, with a modifier, generate subdivision here, okay, and increase it like that, we will have some subdivision here. I will just remove the wireframe and make a shade smooth. Like this, we have a kind of more interesting shape than just a ball or something, just to see the shaders or to see the reflections or the lighting. For example, here, if I go to add the shadow like that and increase it, you can see that we have really a more interesting object than just a sphere or something like that. And we can really see more how the light and the shaders will react and interact. Okay, so it's very important to play with Suzanne. We will use this poor monkey a lot. So yeah, I apologize about Suzanne. Yeah, it's poor Suzanne. It will be difficult during this training, but we will use it carefully. And so that's it for the meshes options. Okay, the mesh primitives. We can add some curves as well. You have a lot of different objects here. You can see curves, surfaces, metaball. Some objects will not use it during the training, but you can try to experiment a little with them. And after, we have some more specific objects like the lights, the camera, the speakers, the force fields, and things like that, more for animations. We will discover a lot during the training, all of the specific objects. But mostly for modeling, you will use mesh and curves and text sometimes, and mostly it will be enough like that. So that's it for the mesh primitives, and we will start to make some manipulations with it, how to move them, to rotate them, to scale them with shortcuts, and after we can start to make our first modelings. In this video, we'll discover how to make basic manipulations into our object. So let's go and add here a Suzanne, okay? Just like that, monkey. With the shortcut Control 2, like that, I can add a modifier like this and make just a shade smooth like this. It's quick and easy. Okay, so the first thing to understand with manipulation, it's here the tools that you have. So you have the move, you have the rotate, you have the scale, and you have the transform. Okay, the move, like it says, You can move on specific axes. Like for example, if I use the red arrow here, I will move my object into the x-axis. Okay, and same for the other axes like that. Okay, when I use here inside the circle, I move it freely. Okay, and all of that you can use it with the shortcuts. Like the shortcut for move, it's grab, so it's J. So G here. Okay, so you move it like that, G. And if you want to move it on an axis, you move with GX. And you move it on a specific axis like that. Okay, and it's exactly the same for the three main tools. So for the rotation here, you will have your different arrows here into the gizmo that you can play with, different circles like that, and it will make the rotation that you want. And same if you go into inside the circle but not on a specific axis, it will rotate a little freely, moving differently, rotating differently from the axis of the view that you have. So it's important to understand that it's from the view here. Okay. And it's exactly the same. So with rotation, it's R. Okay, shortcut is R, like rotation, very easy to remind. And RZ, for example, we make RZ a rotation like that, or RX a rotation like that. Okay, on a specific axis. And you have the third tool is the scale. The scale is to make the object more little or more big like that. Okay, so you can play with the inside the circle without specific axis, or you can play with the circle with the specific axis that you have here. Okay, you can play as well with the two here little squares, the three little squares. So here, for example, if I use the Z, I will scale along two axes, like, but not the Z axis. Okay, yeah. So if I use the blue, it removes the blue. If I use the green, it removes the green. So I will scale only into Y and X, and I will have a shape like that. Okay, it didn't scale into the Y axis. So it can be useful sometimes. So when you want to do that with shortcuts, you make SX, you make a scale into the x-axis, but if you make S Shift X, you will scale everything, but not into the scale, the x-axis, okay? So Shift X, Shift axis, will remove the axis on the operation. And it's exactly the same. Like for example, if I want to grab my object and keep it on the ground like that, I will not want to move it into the Z axis. So I will make G and Shift Z. And like this, it will move only into the X and the Y axis. And like this, I'm sure into the side view that it will keep the same Z value like that. Okay. So I will make Alt G to put my object back into the center. When you want to remove the operation that you did, like for example, if I make a G, I make a rotation like that, I make a scale. Good. So I did make some operations like this. If you want to cancel all of these operations, you can make Alt G, Alt R, and Alt S, and it will come back, the object will come back at this origin status. You can visualize that here into the item menu here that you have for the transform values. You can visualize this because if I move this, you can see the location did change. If I make a rotation, the rotation did change. If I made a scale, the scale will change as well. Okay. And now if I make RG, it will come back to 0. Alt R, it will come back to 0, and Alt S, it will come back to 1 because a scale needs a value to start. So it needs a 1. If you have 0, you don't have any object. Like for example, if I put this here, all the vertices will be at 1 point here. So it will not be possible to see the object. So now we have the possibility to play with that, or you can play directly with dimensions. By default, with these scale values, the dimensions will be this. And for example, if you want a specific dimension, you can play with the dimension like that, okay? So it can be useful, but be careful, it will change the scale here, okay? So it's normal behavior like that. So you can change just with the shortcuts very easily. I mainly recommend to not use the tools here. The tools are here, and it's good to come back when you, maybe sometimes, but I never use these tools. I always use shortcuts because it's quicker, it's more efficient, and especially when you have this tool here, when you have this gizmo, it takes a lot of space. It takes a lot in the mind and in the eyes. I mean, you don't see really the geometry behind and everything. It takes a lot of space into the interface. So I really prefer to stay there and to use the shortcuts with G, with rotation, with the scale and everything. You have the other last tool that it's even worse for me, but some users, they will be happy to have this, but really I don't recommend to use that to be efficient in modeling. You can see that you have all the tools in one. So you have the scale like that, you have the rotation here, and you have the move with the arrows. So yeah, a lot happens in the interface, and yeah, it's kind of disturbing for me. So I prefer to have a clean interface like that. So now you can play with numbers as well. You can see that you have here specific values, and you can play with these values just by use exactly the same shortcuts. Like if I want to move my object 5 meters on the right side, I will make GX 5 and enter, or left click to validate the shortcut I made. And you can see now I have this. If I move it again with GZ 0.25 maybe, you can see that it did move with 0.25 meter here on top. So yeah, very efficient way to use that as well. So can be very useful to add some values, or maybe you want to play with rotations, you use the degrees here. So if you make RZ 45 degrees, it will move 45 degrees on the axis. Rotate, sorry, not move. And here you have the scale. So the scale, you can just remember that the basic object, it's 1, okay? So if I make S 0.5, it's 2 times less big. And if I make Control Z and make S3, it's 3 times. So yeah, very important to understand these values as well, because you can play with specific values on specific axes. You can use a few things as well to help you to manage these operations of rotation, location, and scale. If you use the control after the shortcut control, just after making the G, and I move, you can see now, I don't move it freely. I move it with increment, and it will stay with an increment of 1 meter. So it will depend of your view. If you are in perspective view, it will never change. So for example, here I make G and use the control, it will move every meters, okay? It never changes in perspective view. But if you stay into orthographic view, in free view, if you stay in orthographic view and on a specific view, like for example the top view, okay, so you can see that you have more you zoom and more some divisions will appear on the grid, and it will be these divisions that will be used when you use the control key. So if I use the G now and make the control, you can see that the increment is every 10 centimeters, for example, okay? If I zoom out and make G again, So now it will be every 1 meter and etc. So I can make like that, and now it will be every 10 meters. So can be very useful for modeling precisely, things like that. So yeah, but it will work only on specific view, like front view, side view, and top view, like that. Okay. So here we have the possibility to play with shift as well. Like for example, if you want something precise, maybe you make a scale, okay? And yeah, before talk about this, I want to make a point with the scale option. It's very important to understand that when you start your operation very near of the center of the object, okay? So if I use my cursor here, if I put my cursor here and make the scale and start the scale from here, you can see that a very little gesture of your mouse will make a big thing into your screen, okay? Because I'm very near, so a very little movement will make a big operation like that. But what I want, it's something that I can control. So I can use the same operation, but start between the end of the 3D interface and the object. So somewhere here, okay? And you start your scale like that. You will have far more control. You can try yourself. It's very important to try it yourself. You will have really far more control to manage your operations. Yeah, and to be efficient like that, to be precise. If you want more precision, you can use the shift key, okay? So you start your operation with G, and now with the shift key, you will have something very precise. It will be exactly the same with G, Z, for example, okay? You have with shift, it's the same movement I make with the mouse, okay? And without the shift, it's the same movement I make with the mouse. So it's reduced 10 times the movement of your mouse. So very important to know this tool as well. Okay, so control key will come back to the increment. Shift key, you have something more precise, and Alt G, for example, if I use G and Alt G, it will cancel all the operations that you will put here, all the numbers that you will put here, and come and make the origin of the object come back into the center of the scene. And it's the same for rotation and scale. So you can see that you have only with shortcuts a lot of possibilities already. And that's why it's very important if you want to be efficient in modeling, and Blender is a really powerful tool for that. I mean, I see other softwares that are good, and yeah, and even sometimes very good in modeling. But honestly, Blender with the shortcuts, it goes very quick. If you know a little your gear, you can model something very quickly. So I recommend you to use their shortcuts. It will help you in your level later. And so that's why I wanted to show this. And you have other possibilities here of manipulation, specific manipulations, and it works with object. Like for example, I did show you that already, but if I make a rotation like that, you can see that my tool is still moving like this, okay? And if I make GX, it's still into the global axis. But if I use, for example, the local axis and make a GX now, it will move into the local axis. So can be sometimes very important to understand that, especially sometimes in edit mode. We will see edit mode later, but you want to move a face on a specific axis, and it will help a lot. So you have the local, you have the normal, it's similar but more in edit mode. You have the gimbal for the rotations, mode for the rotation. You can move it from the view, from the 3D cursor. You can see that the 3D cursor into the view section, you can put some rotation as well into the 3D cursor. The little tool into the center here that you can move as well to help you for have another pivot point maybe or something like that. So yeah, you can play with the rotation as well, and it will make a specific rotation that you can play with separately from the object. So yeah, all these tools, I don't move a lot these things here. I play between global and local. It's already enough for me. Here you have the possibility to play with the transform points, and it's a kind of, I will just duplicate some object to show you that. And you see that if I select my three objects here, I make here a rotation, and I have a kind of invisible point by default that made a pivot point here. And it's a kind of median localization between the three objects, okay? So it will be like that. But you have other possibilities to use this transform. You can use, for example, the 3D cursor, and it will rotate around the 3D cursor, okay? You can make an active element, and now it's my last element, my last object selected that will rotate the other objects, okay? Can be interesting as well. You can play with the median point, so it's the one by default that we have. We can play with individual origins, and now if I make a rotation, all the objects will make a rotation from their specific pivot point, okay? Just like that. And now you have the bounding box center. It makes more or less the same than the median point. And so yeah, can be very important to use as well. You have other options here. It's the snap, and the snap by default will work on the increment. So if I move now, you can see I will make some movement, but incremented. You can tell here to be inside the grid. So like this, you are sure that your values here will be really on the grid. So you cannot have some dots here. Then you can move on faces, for example, as well. So it will be something that we will see a little more later, but let's add a plane here to show you that, okay? So for example, now I move my object freely, okay? And if I move, it's above the surface. And so if I move it, and we can add another view to see that, okay, on the side view, we can see that here the object is moving, but it doesn't touch here and doesn't stay on the surface. But I can use the surface to stick my object on it. And it's very important for example, you have a chair that you want to put on the ground, or a cup that you want to put on the table. It will be very important to know this tool. So what you do to use this tool, you just enable the snap, okay? You can play with vertex, edge, face. Mostly we will use face project most of the time, okay? We will align the rotation to target, and that's it. And now if I select my object and move it here, you can see that it will stick on any surface behind. And as you can see, the rotation of the object did change as well, okay? Because now it's aligned with the object. It can be on any surface and on any rotation. Like for example, if I add a sphere and make the same with my object, you can see that now it will move around the object and take the surface rotation to align with it. So it's very important to understand that. It's very important that to see that the center of the object is used and not the surface of the object. So it means that if you want Suzanne to stick on a surface specifically, it means that you will have to move the center of the object. And to move the center of the object, I will make Alt-J or put it in the center, and Alt-R to put it there. To put the origin, so the origin point here, it's the dot, little dot, and it's this one that is used to project there. So if you want to have the origin here, there, and make a GZ, and you want to apply this. You made this, but you want the origin to come here now, on the ground. Like this, Suzanne will stay on the ground. You want to apply this, and to use this, you make Control A. Control A is the apply menu. You can apply the location. So now you see that the object didn't move, but the origin point, it's at 0. So now my object has a different origin point. It's not in the center, it's under. So it's important to understand that. And I will apply the rotation as well. You can see that now I have 0 everywhere. And now if I move Suzanne, so for example, I will put it there. If I start to move Suzanne with this, it will directly stick on the ground and like it's really on the ground, okay? So, and it will work with any surface. Like for example, if I had maybe a UV sphere, put it bigger, just like that, come back with Suzanne and move it, you can see that it goes directly on it. So very important to understand that. Like this, you can stick your objects into the surface with this technique, and it's very important. So that's it with the object manipulations. We have little things here. Maybe I will generate like that. A last little thing, but we will have a full chapter about it. I will just add a monkey here again and duplicate it a lot without this option. Okay, and you will have here the possibility of moving your object with proportional editing. Here you have the proportional editing. You see that if I move my object, I have a little circle that comes now. That wasn't before. If I disable it, you see that it's not here. So I can increase this circle by moving and increase with the scroll of my mouse. And now you can see that the other objects around will be affected. So can be useful sometimes to move things a little like this, but it will be very important in edit mode this, and I will make a full chapter about it. I just wanted to cover this one, and this one on this video, but yeah, this one will be a specific video on it because it's very important. So that's it for the object manipulations. So first things to remember, and it's the most important, is the G, the R, and the S, okay, like that, with the X, Y, Z, and you can enter values directly with the shortcuts, above the shortcuts, so very important and powerful tool. That's it. We will start to model with primitives into the next video. We will start to model little objects, and we will increase the level during the chapter. In this video, we will make our first modeling, so it will be simple things with primitives, and it's just to help you to start to manipulate the object. So after we'll use other modeling techniques, but mostly it's very important to start with this, and yeah, like this you will be used to the shortcuts and the different manipulations that are used here. So I really recommend you to repeat these operations until you feel natural with this, and you don't have to think about, yeah, what is this shortcut for this and this shortcut for that. The shortcuts that we will use here into these first chapters are very important for the rest of the training, because you will come back always to it during your Blender's journey. So let's go for that. Let's go for make a first modeling. First of all, we'll make something very simple. We will keep the cube here and we will make a table, okay? So let's go, and we will not think too much about, for now, we will not think too much about the size. We will just keep the object and try to make a shape for now, okay? So let's go and make an SZ like this, okay? And like this, we will scale along the z-axis. We can go and see the values here, just like that, to see that I have 0.05. If you want to just add the value here, it will make the same. Okay, I will go into orthographic view like this. I will have a better view, and I will add another cube like that. So now I would like to make a scale into the y-axis and into the x-axis at once. So what I use the shift technique. So I make S, and I want to remove the z-axis into this. So I will make shift Z. And as shift Z, you can see that you have this kind of behavior. So it will be perfect to make a kind of pillar shape or foot shape for our table. Let's go for that. Perfect. So now we'll go on top view and into wireframe view with Z here. We have here the shape like that. So what we would like to do is to put it into this point, and this point. So what we will use, we could here use the snap here just like that and snap it to the grid. Like this, when we move it, we are sure that it will stay into the grid. When you want to duplicate an object, you use Shift D. Shift D will it's duplicate and move. So I did duplicate this part and move it like that. I will make the same with here, put it on each corner, just like that. And what we have is this kind of shape now. Into solid view, we have this. So what I would like to do is take all of this object, so I can select with Shift key, Shift left click, and I will go in front view now. And with GZ, without this activated, I can move freely and go until I'm here. Maybe it's a little too tall. So what I will do, I will just go there and make a SZ now. Yeah, to have something like that. Simple table, very simple. Okay, and now if I deselect with Alt A to deselect everything, I will have now a table shape. Perfect. This table shape is composed of here 5 cubes here. So it's a multi-object. And to make it only one object, you have different possibilities. You can select here all the objects and make Ctrl J to join objects. And now you have only one object. But you don't have after the possibility to take, for example, this part of the table here and move it freely, because now everything is joined like that. So what I do usually when I model with multi-objects, I use the parenting option, and I will show you that. It's very easy to understand. So what I do, I put my object on the ground first. I go into front view, and with GZ, just like that, I will zoom in and try to put with GZ, to put my table here on the ground, okay? So the ground that is represented with in front view with the red here and the red sign, the red axis here, the x-axis, and inside view it will be the green axis. So I put it like that. Now I would like to add an object that will be invisible. And this object, it's a new object that we didn't see yet. It's an empty. The empty here, you have different shapes. You will not see it in the render view. It's only in the 3D view by default. And it's an object that you will use as a manipulator sometimes. Or yeah, it's just a non-existing object when you make a render. So it's invisible, but you have a shape that you can use and manipulate other objects with it. So that's what we will do. I will add a sphere to have something easy to grab. Into the options of the empty here, you have the possibility to change the size if needed, but it's not a scale. You can see that I didn't change the scale of the object. It's just the size of it by default. By default, this size is okay for me, easy to grab, easy to select like that. And what I will do, I will select all of my objects with Shift and this one at last. And with this one at last, it will be yellow, and the other are orange. It's the same here, orange here and yellow there. So now when I make Control P, I will can parent the objects of the table into the empty. You can see that I have little lines that shows the relationship between the two. So now if I take the empty, I can move my table everywhere. And if I have a surface here that is here, for example, a little under like that, and I use the technique that I did show you to project the object into the surface, now it will work perfectly because it's the empty that project directly into the surface, and the other object will follow because they are the children of this object, the parent object. So now all the object of the table will always follow. If I make a scale, it will follow. If I make a rotation into the z-axis, it will follow as well. Okay, so very important to understand this parenting option. You can see that now they disappeared into this interface. Actually, no, not really, because if you open the empty, you will find back the cube inside, the cubes inside. So here we could rename everything, like for example this one, we call it the plate or whatever, and this the foot, the feet, and everything. What I do usually when I have multiple objects like this into one, I just rename the empty, and it's enough for us to understand what's happening. So I have the table here, and all the objects will follow. So very powerful way of make some modeling like that. So I will make RG to put it in the center, maybe remove this plane for now, and I will tell that this collection is the table. Good. And maybe with the same kind of techniques, maybe we could make a chair. Okay, so that's what we will do. We will disable this collection, create a new collection outside this one. Okay, and I will call it now chair. Good. What we can do actually, it's start from this modeling here and make another. And to do that, what we can do is just select everything, make Shift D like this. So we have another table. And what is good with this technique is that it keeps the relationships with the duplicated objects with the new objects like that. And now with M, we put it into the chair. Okay, so we can now start to model a chair. So we will just have to move maybe a little object and make maybe some different shapes, but honestly it will not be that difficult. So let's go for that, and maybe we can make everything more little. Okay, put it with GZ on the ground. Okay, good. Now I would like to make here the feet a little bigger, stronger, because here it's not strong enough to have someone on top of it. So what I will do, I will make S Shift Z, but you can see that it will make something that I don't want. And me, I want to use this with the individual origin. So if I make S Shift Z now, it will thick the objects like this. Okay, so this is good. I'm happy with it. Now I will make a reinforcement here by doing Shift D again, and into the side view I will make a rotation of it 90 degrees and put it there, around there. Okay, and with an S Shift Y I will make it less thick, just like this. Okay, and now in front view with Shift D X I will put it there, and now I have this kind of shape. Good, perfect. Now I will use here there's two sticks and duplicate them with Shift DZ to put it there. Good. So now we begin to start to have a chair. What I could do is duplicate that one here and with Shift D and put it in the center with Alt G. Okay. And now with GY and R 90 degrees with the top view here, we can put it a little higher. Like this, we have another reinforcement here. So our chair starts to have a chair shape, and now we will duplicate that one. Put it there. Make a rotation 90 degrees. Maybe make it a little less big like this. Okay. And maybe this 2 has to be higher, so I will make a GZ like this and a SZ like this. They will have this kind of shape. Okay, good. Now we have a chair shape. And now this one will not be a table, it will be a chair. And I can move that one and enable the first one here and move that one here with the y-axis and put it under the table, for example. Okay, so we have here the possibility to play a little with this object. Perfect. So we have a chair, we have a table. What could we do now? Maybe we could do a lamp, or yeah, something like a lamp. It's good. To make a lamp, let's add. First of all, we will make a round shape with a sphere. Okay, this sphere will be like this. It's okay. And maybe we can, into the side view, we can scale it into the z-axis to have a kind of shape like that. Perfect. We will grab it into the z-axis and add a collection here. This collection will be the lamp. Maybe the bedroom lamp or table lamp. Well, let's call it table lamp. Okay, perfect. Now we have this kind of shape. I would like to add maybe a cylinder, or no, maybe a cone. This cone will have this kind of shape to can put it in the table without falling. So yeah, we will make this shape and increase the second radius, decrease the depth to have a kind of shape like this, and we can with GZ just put that we need. Okay, so we'll have this kind of shape now. Perfect. Now we'll play with cylinder to add maybe the bulb and everything like that. So what we can do just with Shift A, add a bulb, add a cylinder, sorry. Okay, scale it down, GZ, scale it into the Z axis, scale it down again. Okay, so we have the start. We can duplicate that into the Z axis and scale it again, scale it into the Z axis again to have something like that. Okay, good. Just very simple shapes actually. And Shift D again into the Z axis and scale it down again and scale it into the Z axis again. Okay, so we have this now. I will add the bulb itself, so it will be just a sphere. Just simple shapes. That, yeah, something like that. Perfect. Good. So now I would like to add here this shape on top of this. So I will add another cone. And this cone here will not have the shape that we had before. We will increase the depth. Something like this maybe. Increase the radius 1 to have a shape like that. Good. And now we have something that is good. Maybe I will increase the number of vertices like 64 to have something beautiful. Perfect. I will remove the hang-ons and put nothing in there. Okay, so like this, I will have this kind of shape. Perfect. Now I need to make the link between this and this. So I can use very simple shapes again. What I will use first of all is a torus. Very thin. So what I will use is a minor radius, very little, like 0.01. As you can see, yeah, something like that. Increase the major radius. Something like here, okay, and put it into this location, maybe scale it a little that it's around like this. So we have this kind of shape like that. We can make exactly the same, increase add a torus, but this time the radius will be more like this size. So we will decrease the major radius to have something that will fit. We can increase the location Z directly here and play with the radius as well. Okay, with shift, and now we have this kind of shape. Good. Now we want to make the link between these two shapes here, maybe to something that will be here. So perfect. Maybe I will duplicate this with Z into the Z axis, put it near the bulb like that. Maybe scale it a little. And now we will just play with these shapes to link them together. Okay, so what you can do with that, maybe I will put it there, it might be good. What you could do with that is add a cylinder very thin again, so the cylinder like that. Maybe the depth will be the radius like 0.04 or even less, 0.02. Yeah, something like that, and even thinner, 0.01. Something like this, yeah, to have really little sticks. And now we'll manipulate this stick to play with it. So what we'll do, we'll make a rotation 90 degrees here, make a scale into the x-axis, and on top on the top view here and in wireframe view, we can see the distance between this and this first of all. So what we can do, we can play with gx and make sx to put the object into the right position like that. Okay, in front view now we have this. I can make a gz and a little rotation like this. And now I can play with the location of this stick. Scale it just a little and we have our shape. Okay, perfect. So what we will have, we will need, maybe it's 4 of them like this around there. So what we'll use a pivot point with the 3D cursor like this. If I make a rotation, it will turn around the cursor that is in the center. If you did move the cursor by mistake or something like that, you can play around with the values here, come back to location at 0, rotation at 0, or you make Shift C and it will come back with in the center. So now if I make a Shift D R 90, you can see that it will make a duplication with Shift D, R the rotation, and 90 degrees. And now you have this kind of shape. Perfect. So now we need to make the same, but join it to the center. Like for example, join it from here to here. So what we will do, we will make the same kind of stick, maybe duplicate it. Okay, Shift D into the x-axis. And in front view, we will manage the right orientation and shape. So we'll come back to a median point, a rotation, scale it down, put it there, scale it a little, maybe a rotation like this, to have this kind of shape. Huh? Perfect. And now we will make the join again. So we will come back with the 3D cursor, Shift D, R 90 degrees. When you made an operation like that, you can use Shift R to repeat the operation, and it goes quickly like this. So now we have this kind of shape, okay? And we can use the last one that will join on top as well. So what we will do in front view, we'll select that one, make a Shift D, Alt R to remove the rotations, make a SZ with the right pivot point, okay? And put it from here to there. So it will be just a scale and rotation. Just by choosing the right rotation and scale, we will have something like that. And again, we can duplicate this with the right rotation and 3D cursor pivot point here with Shift D, R 90 degrees, and Shift R, Shift R. Okay, good. So now we have our shape with the bulb. Okay, perfect. And after, yeah, some kind of operations like that might be quicker with edit view in edit mode, but yeah, just to show you that we can make it with object mode as well. Okay, so we have a lot of objects now, and to make something more easy to manage, what we will do now, we will just select all these objects, add it to an empty. So we choose a sphere like this. Good. Now we select all the objects. We'll make a Control P to set parent to the object. So we have the little lines, and now if I move this, everything will come out, and we can call it table lamp. What is good with that? What is good with that? It's that if you made something already, you can use it for another object. For example, we can make a big lamp. Okay, let's duplicate this collection, and we will call it floor lamp. Perfect. So maybe we will duplicate all of that. So what we will do, we will just remove this. Sorry, I will just disable this one. I will just remove this, maybe take all of this, and in front view, put it on top like this. This one, we can remove this, maybe, and add another mesh. Again, it will be a cone, but with the right value. So what I will do, I will put hang-on here, and I would like to add a base to this lamp, this tall lamp here. So what I will do, I will just increase the radius to have something almost the same, and decrease the depth to have this kind of shape like this. Okay. Now I can go into location Z and put it there, and I want to fill it, so it's already filled. It's perfect. Now I can add another cylinder, and this cylinder will not have this value, so I will increase like 0.1 maybe, something like that. It's good. And increase the depth and the location. Okay, and try to find the right value here to have something that will fit to your need. Okay, here the depth, I remove some, and now look, we have a big lamp like that. Okay, we just have to parent again there's two new objects into the empty that is here with Control P, set parent to object. Good. And now it's a floor lamp, this one. Perfect. So now we have there's 4 objects that are already made. Now I can enable everything, and yeah, you can see that the lamps are very big. So maybe I will just put the lamp like this, GX, and this one scale it down with GX as well. And so everything is well organized here, and we have a chair, a lamp, a big lamp here, and a table. So I really recommend you to make these exercises. They seem not that complicated, but actually it will help you to start to manipulate objects and to start to use the shortcuts. Try to not use these tools here, to just use the shortcuts that I did use. I save you that into the source files. Like this, you can open the objects. You can open the file and see a little how those modeling are made. In the next video, we'll see how to use booleans. In this video, we will have a look on how to use booleans in Blender. So here, the first thing I will do, there are some native tools to use to make booleans in Blender. But first of all, let's activate the right add-on for that. It will really help us for this. So I will go into get extensions. I will search for bool like this. You will have bool tool. I will just install like that. And now I have my bool tool add-on that it's available there. So what it gives us, you have here into the edit section a new tab here that is called boolean, and this add-on helps us to make some boolean operations. What is a boolean operations? A boolean operation. A boolean operation, it's an operation that is made between two geometries, between two objects, and it works with volume especially well. Sometimes with surfaces, but it's better to use it with volumes. So how to use that? I will just remove these two objects, keep my cube here, and add here with Shift A UV sphere and put it into the corner just like that with G. Okay, good. So now I have my auto boolean here and my brush booleans here. It's two different things, but it makes the same kind of result. I will show you how it works. So the first one, if you select your first object and you select your second object and make a difference, for example, it will make a hole in your cube with the shape of the sphere, okay? So very easy to understand. If I make a union, it makes only one object. It's not the same as making a Control J, and I will show you that with Shift DX. Okay, I will have the two same objects there. With these two, I make Control J, and with these two, I make a union. Okay, so with the Control J, I still have inside my object the geometry of the other object. So actually, it's not only one geometry; it's two geometries that has an intersection inside. But with the union, with the boolean, it makes only one surface. You can see that I have nothing inside. So it's very important to understand the difference here. Here I cannot separate it again with the union I made. Here I can separate it. I can separate these two if needed. So that's why it's important to understand. I may Control Z to come back until there. And I can make an intersect. So the intersect is the intersection between the two objects, so can be very useful as well. And I can make a slice, so the first one will cut the object in two parts. So after, it's the only operation that after I will have two objects there, okay? So here, it's the auto boolean, it's a destructive operation. A destructive operation is something that if you continue to make your project, you cannot come back to it except with Ctrl Z. But when you use the brush boolean there, it's a different behavior that happens. Here I will use non-destructive tools, and you can see that I still have my brush, they call it brush, that's why brush boolean, and this brush that makes a hole inside the other object, okay? So I can scale it down, scale it up, move it, make a rotation. It will make always the hole in real time, okay? And maybe I will add another operation, like for example a cylinder, and make S Shift Z, SZ, and put it there, okay? And maybe I will make a difference as well with the other object. You have to select two objects or it will not work, okay? And now I have this kind of shape like this. Good. And maybe I can put another again. It works with multiple tools, multiple objects at once. Like for example, if I add a cube, scale it down, maybe scale it into the x-axis, and scale it up to have this kind of shape here. I put it there, and maybe I will make Shift the X a little and Shift R to repeat the operation. Like this, I will have these objects here. So I will select all of these objects, and at last here, my main cube. Now, if I make a difference, it will work directly as well, okay? So I can hide the cutters, I can remove the cutters, I can apply all the cutters, and yeah, so if you want to see your object only, you can just use this. So it can be very useful to create some new shapes and to evolve into your modeling. So that's why using booleans is very important in modeling, but be careful, it creates a lot of triangles. So now if I come back to there, you can see that here I have some modifiers. Modifiers are non-destructive tool. I can enable them. I can enable them in render, apply them if needed. So, or I can apply all cutters like that. And you can see that it will apply all the modifiers here. And now I have my new geometry that is finished. So yeah, booleans are good, but in a way, there are some limitations with booleans. We will talk about modeling with quads after, and you can see that here I will have a lot of triangles here. If I show you the triangles here, you will have a lot of triangles everywhere in this shape. And so that's why it's sometimes it can be useful, but if you want to use to make modeling with quads, and I will show you that it's very important later into the edit mode chapter, sometimes it can have some limitation. Like for example, here with these objects, I cannot add a modifier generate subdivision surface. It will create a strange shape, very impossible to manage this, okay? So if you want to use this kind of modifier after, you cannot with the shape because it has too much triangles everywhere and too much strange topology there. So it's a kind of limitation, but except this limitation, you can make all the shapes you want, and it's very, very powerful, especially for example with 3D printing. It's very, very powerful to add shape, remove shapes. So yeah, very, very good one. I will show you a few modeling with that. The first one I will show you, it's a very simple one. It's a mug. So let's call this collection mug. And we will remove this and add a cylinder, a mug shape, actually. Perfect. So I have a cylinder, and we will keep these values. We will go into the front view here, and maybe with SZ we will make our cup a little bigger because we love a lot coffee. And into wireframe mode, I will duplicate my object, keep it there with the right click, and I will scale it down and scale it up with SZ. Okay, like that, and put it a little like this. So what I want to do actually, if I want to make a hole inside that one, like this, I will have the inside of my shape. Good. But I want to add here another shape, and it will be the handle. So I will add a torus there. And this torus, I will keep the options more or less like that and go into the front view, make a air 90 degrees into the x-axis and put it somewhere with J and S, something like that. Okay, so let's say you made your operation here with the difference like this. So now you have this. So if I add this, it will not work. So what I can do in that case, I use a cube just here. That will be only to cut that one. So maybe I will not cut it here, but inside somewhere there. Okay. And so I make a difference here. And now I have this shape that I can add to this with the union. And now I have a mug. So this mug, I can put it on the ground like this. It will be easier to move. And what I do, I put this with Control A location. Here you can see that our origin point is now there. And if I move it now, it will be perfectly aligned with the object under if I want to use always this one here. Okay, so here we have a mug or a cup as you want. You can play with these values to have different shapes. This is the first one. Maybe to the next one we will make a USB key, let's say. Okay, so let's add a USB key. Let's go for that. Let's add a new collection, call it USB key. You can work with the object not far from you, or you can work with images as well. I will show you that later, how to add image reference images. So we hide the mug here, go into USB key, and we will add cube, let's say. Okay, we will make S Shift X to have a shape like that. Good. And SZ. This will be the beginning of our key. We'll make a Shift D here into the X-axis. Scale it into the Y-axis. Scale it into the Z-axis, maybe somewhere here. It's not that bad. And we will make a join already, a union, not a join. It's different. And we will add another cube here, scale it down, put it there. We'll make the plug here a little better. Okay, so I will go into front view, side view. I will make SZ like this. Okay, and we will put this inside with SX as well. Good. SZ, maybe a little on top over there. Nice one. So now I can make a difference. And maybe I will add, you see you have two little squares on these keys like that. So what I will do, I will add the cube again as Shift D to put it very thin. So we can put it somewhere like that, and again scale it like this. Good. GY, GX, sorry, I put it there. And now I will make SX because it's not totally a square from my remembering. I don't have any key beside me, but I know it's somewhere like that. So inside view here, you can see in wireframe what you do. And what I will do, I will put one here on top. Okay, somewhere there. And with a Shift D, Y, the other will be somewhere here. Perfect. So now I have there's two objects that will make holes directly with the difference here. Good. So maybe here I would like to have a round shape there, this kind of round shape here, and with a hole inside that you can maybe use this key on yeah, just to put this key somewhere if you want to grab it. So let's go here with a cylinder this time. Okay, cylinder, we scale it down. We will put it there directly here, GX, just like that. Scale it up. In front view, we will make SZ. Okay, and we have our shape, basic shape, SZ again to have something like that. Okay, good. So I will duplicate this before because I will use a duplication of it, but I will make first of all a join, a union. Okay, and with the duplication here, I will scale it down and scale it into the z-axis. Like this, now I can create a hole with difference. Okay, now I have my USB key. That's perfect. Let's call it USB key. Good. So now we have our object. Again, if we want that the object sticks well on the ground, what we have to do is to put our object on the ground here and use the shortcut Control A, apply location, and now we have our location that is well set. Good. The next one will be maybe a little more complicated. We will add, we will create a desk, okay? And let's go for that. New collection, we will call it desk. Good. Now, what we want to do, we will start by the top of the desk with a cube here. Maybe we'll make a SZ to have something very thin, okay? And SX, just like that. Let's say this kind of shape, it's good for the top. Here we will reuse this shape to make Shift D and air 90 degrees, SZ, and put this somewhere here, okay, to have this kind of shape. Maybe we'll make a SY as well to put it a little thinner on this axis. And with this shape made, what we will do, we'll make Shift DX and SX to make it bigger. To have a kind of shape like that, okay? So it will be a good start for a desk. What we would like here is to add some drawers. So what we will do for that, I will duplicate that one and scale it into the general axis and SZ to have the first one. Let's say this kind of shape. SX a little bigger. SY, what we would like to do is to create the shapes, to create the holes of our drawers, okay? So I will make GZ to put it there. I think we have a good shape now. Shift DZ and Shift R to make a repeat. So we can see that we need more space here. So what we can do, we can remove this 2 I will scale it down into the z-axis and put it a little above. Shift D Z again to put it there, and Shift R. Now we have something good. Perfect. So what we want to do, we want to keep one somewhere. So I will duplicate that one and hide it, because I want to create the holes just like that. So to make this, I will select the 3 and that one at last, make a difference. Okay, we have the one. Now we want to make a join with these 3, so we'll make a union. Okay, and with that one, now we will create a drawer. So what we will do, we will keep the shape and scale it into the y-axis. Like this, it will be just the right shape. Just like this. Perfect. Now I will hide the originals here and duplicate this one, make a S, Shift Z, and GZ to have this kind of shape like this. Okay, now I can create a difference. So I will have a basic drawer, but now I want a handle like that. So I will add a handle. I will use maybe a torus like this. This torus, I want it into the center of this object. So what I do to put this object at the same location, I could go there and copy the locations of my drawer here and paste it here, but it will be too complicated. So what I will do, I will make Shift S and put the cursor to the selection here. And now I make Shift S again and I make the selection to the cursor. So now I'm sure that it's well in place. So what I will do now, I will scale it down, scale it into the y-axis and put it there to have my handle. Okay, yeah, like this it should be good, but we can see that we have a little, and yeah, to be really good it has to be there, and we can see that we have this that comes out. We don't want that, so add a cube again just to make the shape that we need. So now we just cut this with the edit tool here, difference, and now we can make this and make a union. So we have our object that is well set. Now with the original here, we can select that one and make a Shift D Z 2 times with Shift R, and now we have our object. What I like is to keep the desk and to keep the drawer separated. So here I can call it drawer. Make a Control C of that. And now you just have to make Control V and Control V, just like that. So we have everything that is well done. Now we would like to put it on the ground, GZ, just like this. And GX a little maybe. Okay. And now we'll add an empty because we have multiple objects. It did come there because the cursor is there, so I will make Shift C to put the cursor into the center and Shift A, empty sphere into the center like that. This will be our desk. Okay, and we will parent everything with Control P there. So that means that we can move the main object and we still have the possibility to open the drawers, for example, like that. So it can be very useful. So that's it for this desk. So yeah, you can see that the booleans are very powerful and that you can play a lot already with more complex shapes and more interesting shapes. Something that can be used as well for modeling is maybe we'll make a grill or something like that. So let's go for a mesh here, cube. Okay, let's call this grill. Or grid, or yeah, it depends the shape you want to make with that. But let's start with a cube with SZ, very thin like that. Something like this. Okay, good. And maybe we'll scale it up with 10, maybe 10 times like this. Good. So now we'll add a cylinder, not too big and not with a lot of vertices because we will duplicate it a lot. So maybe 16 might be enough. Just like this, yeah, because it will be to create little holes everywhere. So what we can do now, we can use a modifier. So I will make a full video about modifiers, but here it's just to repeat the shape of this into an axis like that. So what I will do, I will put this object there, scale it down, maybe. Okay. Good. And put it on the grid directly. So what I will do, I will increment it with the grid. Like this, I'm sure that it will stay on the grid directly. Perfect. Now I will add modifier generate array. Array will duplicate the geometry like that. I will use the constant offset and put 1 meter. So 2 meters, I guess. Maybe 3 meters. Yeah, like this, it's good. And I would like to stay on the grid. So I will use here 4 meters, I guess. Yeah, and it should stay on the grid. Yeah, I have to apply the scale to make it well. Yeah, so it will work far better. Maybe I will keep every 2 meters and I will increase the count. Just like this. Perfect. Now I will add another array modifier, exactly the same, but it will not be into the x-axis. The first is the x, but it will be into the y-axis. And it will not be positive, but negative value, -2. And you can see that now I can increase the number. I could do this manually as well, but it's just to show you the power of the modifiers. We will make a full video, a full chapter actually about it. We will modeling only with these modifiers. So here we have our first object, our second object, and again we make a difference, and what we have, it's a kind of grid. Okay, so this is very cool. Now I can increase the size in edit mode as well, and it will increase the size of my of all the little holes here. We will have a full chapter about edit mode. We could play with different shapes as well. Now we have a cylinder, but if we add a cube, okay, and put it there again with the grid well set, and scale it into the object mode, and again apply the scale. It's very important to make it work well. So what I can do, I can select here there's 2 modifiers and copy them into the other object. So what I can do, I can select this object with this object and make Ctrl L, and we can copy modifiers. Oops, it's the other way. This one to that one. Ctrl L, copy modifiers, and now we can see that all the cubes, they have the same. And so we can make different grid shapes. Like for example, we could duplicate that one here. Okay, and hide it. Now we have this shape here with a brush boolean or just an auto boolean, just like that. So we have this kind of shape. Or we could use the second one here, this one, to that one, make a difference, and now you will have this kind of shape. And this kind of shape you can repeat them after to make a bigger grid, okay? So could be very useful as well. And now you have a big grid just like this. So yeah, very powerful tool, and the Boolean tools here that you can use. I really recommend you to experiment with that. Try to make these little exercises to see how to manage the desk, how to manage the USB key, how to manage the mug, and how to make this grid as well. So now that we have a few objects, we can create a new scene and create a first scene that we will put all the objects together and see how to interact objects with other objects, and like this they can stick together or not. And yeah, we will make a little scene with that. We will see that in the next video. In this video, we'll create our first scene. So what we will do for that, we will maybe add a square, add a plane here. This plane, we will maybe put 6 meters there to have a human shape, human size shape here. So let's say it will be here a room, okay? Let's go there now and duplicate that one, okay? Make a rotation into the x-axis, 90 degrees, and put it with GY3 into this location. Like this, we have a first wall. So now we will manage the height of that. The height will not be, the size will not be 6 meters into that axis here. So by default we have 6 and 6. I guess it's that one that we want to use. Maybe 2.5, it's okay for a wall, 2 meters. And now we can put it there. So with a location, with a Z location, okay, we can see the Z location. It might be GZ 1.25, and it should be perfect now. Good. So we'll make the same with a second wall that we could put there. We will enable the grid again to put it well into the place that we want. Perfect. And we'll make air 90 degrees on top view, and like that we have this kind of shape. Okay, good, perfect. We could add maybe some little details there to make it more like a room, and we will make it very quickly actually. I will duplicate that wall, let it there into, with the right click, make a SZ to put it, to make this kind of shape, okay? So what I will do is 2 walls at once. So I will duplicate them, SZ like this, okay? GZ to put it there, like so. And we would like to add some thickness there. So by default, it's not something that we see here possible, but what we can do is add a modifier, generate here, solidify, that helps us to have some thickness into our shape. We can see that on the first one we have it. So what we will do, we want something positive, so we will add this kind of shape now, and we will use the same add modifier, generate, solidify, and put it with a positive value. So now we have more a room shape like this. Good. What we could do as well is make some openings with a cube, for example. Let's say the openings will be some windows. I can put one there. the shape, the size of it might be maybe 80 centimeters, so 0.8, something like that, and maybe 1.20 here on the z-axis, maybe. Okay, something like this. And we could now add them there and there. Maybe we can put one here, and put one there. Okay, perfect. So we'll have two windows on that side. And now you can use the edit here Boolean and make a difference. So you can play with the shortcuts of the Boolean tools after. With this you can make Control minus and it will be the brush one, okay, and Control Shift minus it will just give you directly the Boolean. Now we would like to import the objects. So let's say this will be the room, okay, and you can rename the objects as well, so can be very important. So this one will be the floor, this one will be the wall, okay, this one will be let's call it frame, okay, this one will be the wall too, and this one will be the frame too. Good. Perfect. So now we have our objects to add some other objects, the one that we did model. So how we add objects from another project? The main tool for that is here, file here, and you have append. Append will give you the possibility to go here into the source files. Here I did save everything there. So we can start to go inside other blend files and find things inside. So if I take, for example, modeling with primitives there, okay, we can see that I have all the informations that are inside my file. And one of those informations that are very important is the collections here. We have the chair, the floor lamp, the table lamp. We will take everything with Shift and append. And we can see that now we have our collections that are well organized. So it did come inside room because I did select room in the beginning, but I put it out like this. And now we have what we want. So now I can make these objects with the right size, okay, more or less. So I will maybe make this table in front view, maybe a table, it's 90 centimeters, I would say, the height of it, more or less. Okay, so something like that. Okay, let's say. And now we can scale everything to make it correct. Okay, so maybe we could move this over there, maybe over there into the x-axis to have something like that. And maybe I will duplicate the chair, so I will select all of it. So what I can do, I can select that one and I can select hierarchy. Like this, it will give me everything inside the chair like that. And I will duplicate into the y-axis, make a rotation 90 degrees into the z-axis, Shift R, it was 180, not 90 degrees like that. So we have already something there. Good. Now I would like to add my desk here. Let's go for that. And maybe the lamps as well. So the lamps here, I will use the face project and align rotation to target. Like this, I'm sure that it will come directly into my table, for example. So let's go for this. We have here something into the object directly that I could put here. And maybe the big one as well, I could put it there in the corner and scale it down. Good. If these lines are a little annoying into the view, what I can do is remove relationships lines, because we know that there is a connection between them, so it's not really useful to have them directly. I will not make the frames of the windows here and everything, but for sure you can. And maybe I will go and find for the rest of the objects that I have. So I will make another file append. What I do, I select my scene collection like this. The collections that I will search and that I will append will come inside the scene collection. So I will make file append here, and I will append now into the using booleans here. And what I do, I will find the collections, and if I did organize well, that's why it's very important to rename your collections and to rename your objects. You can select everything here and append everything. So we have the grills that we can hide first of all, and we have the other objects that we can use. So let's go for, we will hide this and hide that one as well. Let's go for this one first. Okay, we'll make the same height of the table, more or less. It should be like that. And with a GY, we could put it against the wall. Now we'll make the same. We will select here the chair and make a right click and select hierarchy. Like this we have everything, and make a Shift D and put it there. Make a rotation into the Z-axis 180, and we have our chair in front of the desk. Good. Perfect. You can add some little rotation to make things more randomness, and to add some randomness, just like that, with RZ, as you want, as you need, to make it more natural. Okay, it's not what I want to do here, but yeah, usually you can add this into your scene. What I will add now is my mug. So the mug will be maybe on the desk, so I will scale it down, or maybe no, it will be there, and with RZ, little rotation, and Shift D and a little rotation again. Okay, like this we have our mugs into our table. Good, perfect. Now I would like to put my USB key maybe on the desk. Works well. Perfect. Little detail. RZ, G, and put it there. Maybe we have to and make RZ. And now we have more details into our scene. So you can, for example, if we want another lamp, but with another shape maybe, what we can do very easily is to use the S value. It works for some objects, not all of them, but let's go into the table lamp here and select that one and select hierarchy as well. So we'll make Shift D and put it there. Good. Maybe we want a different lamp, so we'll scale it here and scale into the Z-axis. So now we have different shape. Okay, and we could put it there, for example. Good. So we have, I can remove that one. I did duplicate it. It was not a good idea at first. We could add maybe some little details. Maybe the grid will help us as well. So if we want to make a grid like here, for example, let's add a cube and maybe scale it down and put it there. Okay, little grids. Okay, so now what I'm sure that this cube is well oriented and well located. So what I will do, I will make a Shift S cursor to select it like this. I will use it after. And now I can make a Control Shift minus to make the hole first, and I can select my grill. Okay, so maybe I will start with that one. Okay, easy one. Scale it down, make a Shift S selection to cursor, make a rotation into the x-axis 90 degrees and scale it down until it fits what I have here. Okay, perfect. We have our grill. And maybe we can add some frames on the wall very easily. I will just model it very quickly. So I will make a frame collection. Okay, I will hide everything except this one with Control key. Make a Shift C to put back my cursor in the center. Make add cube. So the frame is very easy to make. I will make SZ like that. Okay. And Shift D, Z, and S, just to have this kind of shape inside the other. And now I can select the first one and the second one and use the difference. And now I have a frame. Maybe a little SZ to have something good there. In front view, I will be sure that I put this above there, and Control A, apply all transforms like this. I'm sure it's well oriented. And now I can put back everything. And now it will stick on the wall directly like that. So maybe we can put one here like this, and maybe one like that. And maybe another one here. But with Alt S, okay, and scale it down into the Z-axis like this. Or maybe we can put one there maybe. Yeah, good. And maybe that one here. Perfect. And you can see that you can add your objects directly with this. So this thing is very powerful if you use well the origin of the object. So the object has to have, needs to have the right origin. And for that you need to make it when you model the object before. So that's why if you don't do that, it will be complicated to stick your objects into the others. Okay, so this is our little first scene. Maybe we can add a carpet maybe in the center, so very easily with a shape like this, a circular carpet. Let's go for that. Maybe we take a cylinder with something at 64 and with depth very little, 0.01. Okay, something like that. Yeah, it looks good. And I will put it above with GZ, and again without this one first. Okay, to have a shape like this. And now we have this kind of shape that we can use as well. I will make Control A location to be sure that we have everything set well. And now I can come back with this one and put it somewhere I want into our scene, maybe somewhere near here. Okay, I can add another here chair. So for that I will just select hierarchy like this, make Shift D, put it somewhere there, and make a rotation into the Z-axis 90 degrees, negative if you want to put it well. And now we have our chair that is well set. Okay, and that's it for our little scene. So you see that it will be very powerful to work with these tools, but first of all you need to know how to model here with the primitives, how to use the center, the origins, how to use the parenting. And that's why it's very important before using the edit mode that we will see into the next video. Before using the edit mode, just in object mode you can do already a lot of stuff. So that's why it's very important to know well the tools like that. So I recommend you to make all these little exercises. You can play with other objects as well. Maybe you can make some pens or some cameras, or I don't know. Make your little ideas and objects with already the tools that you have, and try to make simple shapes, not too much complicated. With edit mode after, we can make some more complex things, and that's what we will do in the next chapter.